Some time ago, a user made a list of 100 worthwhile DOS games. Turns out there are a lot more than 100 of them. In this series, I will randomly select one title from the original worthwhile DOS games list and replace it with a similar game not on that list. Some of these games have no direct equivalent, so I'll be allowed 5 passes or buys, where I can choose a cool game worthy of a mention that's not exactly the same. Let's go! The first game on our list randomly selected is the glorious King's Quest VI, a bright and colourful adventure title released by Sierra Entertainment at their absolute zenith, and a title I've played to completion many times. Roberta and Ken Williams made a delightful high fantasy concept with a well-intentioned but often overmatched protagonist in Alexander of Daventry. Our prince pursues the princess but often falls foul of perils, dying in many horrifying and ridiculous ways that are jolting in tone. King's Quest VI is widely regarded by fans of the genre, including yours truly, to be one of the greatest point-and-click adventure games of all time. So it's going to be no small feat attempting to replace it. Enter Westwood Studios, one of the greatest games companies in history, and look at what we have here. A fantasy point-and-click adventure game called The Legend of Kyrandia. Released just 2 months before the game it's replacing, Kyrandia continues that high fantasy tone, and features an even more hapless protagonist who is also a prince. It borrows wholesale from the King's Quest series and a little from LucasArts, and the result is a well-crafted adventure that deserves to be played. Prince Brandon acts like he's suffered from a head injury throughout, and the court jester Malcolm is a chaotic villain who leans heavily on the Joker from Batman in terms of both villainy and appearance. Unfortunately, the other thing it has in common with Sierra Adventures is the number of times our unwitting prince can die in excruciating fashion. Some of the puzzles are absolutely unforgiving, and this can be a source of major frustration to people who enjoy being treated fairly. Especially the Fireberry Caverns, which are horrendous. On the plus side, as of recording this, it's the 20s and a decent FAQ is just a search away. Of course, if you'd rather watch Brandon die repeatedly and get a sadistic kick from doing so, you can forego the walkthrough and stumble around blindly, see if scumming as Kyrandia doesn't disappoint in the Brandon slaughtering department. So, is it as good as King's Quest? Well, no, not much is. Don't let that deter you though. The Legend of Kyrandia is an excellent little title worth playing, and should scratch that adventure gaming itch if you've already played King's Quest through to completion.